Hello. Sorry that this video is going to be so bad because the internet is out. There's been a terrible storm in Southern Maryland. The lights are out. It's getting dark outside. So my apologies. All this kept making me think about was, Gaza had 3 hours of electricity before before October 7th. And now, since October 7th, can you imagine not having any electricity at all? Like the vast majority of people in Gaza have to use gas, or they have these creative mechanisms of using wind to be able to have electricity. So apologies in that regard. And with that, I wanted to start with the people in Gaza who've suffered so much. People have been starting to call the war on Gaza the war on the civilian population in Gaza. At least 46 people who were waiting for aid have been killed by Israeli fire in two incidents in central and South Gaza, rescuers from hospitals say. That was reported by BBC News. UN agencies condemned the U.S. Israeli-backed food distribution center, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, with one official calling it a death trap. 7 Israeli soldiers were killed yesterday in Han Yunis when their armored vehicle was struck by an explosive. That's a significant death toll for the Israeli army. And the death of any human life, be it 7 Israeli soldiers or 70,000 Gazans, we shouldn't minimize the death of any individual, while we also should look at the systemic injustices and differentials of power. The U.S. is giving $30 million to that very same Gaza Humanitarian Foundation under what's being called a priority directive from the White House and State Department. Reuters reported some U.S. officials have expressed concerns about the operation and the killing of Palestinians near the food distribution sites. More updates about Iran. These are from Just Security, all of these today, who gathered them from numerous news sources. The U.S. military strikes on the 3 nuclear facilities did not destroy the nuclear program in Tehran. They likely only set it back a few months. So all those claims about this was, the best, most effective operation ever are not true. The assessments by the Pentagon's intelligence arm is at odds with Trump's repeated claims that the strikes, quote, completely and totally obliterated, end quote, Iran's nuclear capabilities. Today, Trump insisted that Iran's nuclear program has been set back decades, and he said the damage inflicted was very severe. It was an obliteration, whereas the facts are indicating that's not the case. Hegseth, defense secretary, said that there was a leaked report that's preliminary and low confidence, and he suggested there's a political motive, while Rubio, Secretary of State, said that Iran is much further away from a nuclear weapon than they were before the president took this bold action. Substantial damage was done to a variety of different components. We're just learning about it. Hegseth said the FBI are probing the leak of the intelligence report. The Wall Street Journal reported that. Iran said not to try to Iran should not try to rebuild its nuclear program after the strikes, Trump said at the NATO summit at The Hague, adding that the last thing that they will want to do is enrich anything. When asked if Washington would strike Tehran again if they rebuild, Trump said sure. So that's an update on U.S. Iran, Israel-Iran war. The ceasefire seems to be holding. The U.S. is smack dab in the middle of it, but it seems to be holding. Both countries have taken steps indicating they expect the truce to hold. Israel's lifting emergency restrictions that had closed schools and workplaces. Supporters of the Iranian government are holding a victory rally. They did that yesterday. Under pressure from Trump, Netanyahu significantly reduced a planned retaliation of Iran's breach of the ceasefire agreement. Iranian lawmakers approved an outline of a bill to suspend cooperation with the UN's nuclear watchdog. That vote was 221-2 by the Iranian lawmakers. 3 people described as, quote, Mossad spies, end quote, smuggled assassination equipment into the country. They were executed in Iran today. Wow, I hadn't heard that yet. In Armenia, our Archbishop Bagrat Gastanyan of Armenia's National Church, the the Armenian Orthodox Apostolic Church, has been arrested on charges of attempting a coup. This archbishop gained media attention last year when he organized a protest march calling for the president's resignation from a border village whose land was being given away by Pashinyan to Azerbaijan. As he marched, he gained several thousand followers on the way before ending up in Yerevan. The movement was broken up by force. He's now being arrested on conspiracy to plan a coup. Armenian government, they claim that his group called the Holy Struggle recruited thousands with the plans of creating chaos and unrest in order to usurp power. Their evidence is an audio recording they claim is outlining the plan. It's him outlining the plan, as well as several weapons confiscated in the raid. If you don't know what we're talking about when I talk about Armenia, the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, or the area of Artsakh, we did a 3-part series on this, I think 2 years ago. It's still excellent. It's on our website under the resource pages. We're going to do another Armenian webinar this fall. There's still a lot happening in that regard, and there's hopes that there could be a truce agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan, but it hasn't yet fully come to fruition. Now, in the United States, 11 Iranian nationals with either criminal records or suspected terrorist links who've been residing in the U.S. illegally were arrested over the weekend. A statement from the Department of Homeland Security said ICE agents arrested a U.S. citizen who's alleged to have harbored one of these Iranian nationals, and that they threatened to shoot ICE officers in the head, NBC News reported. I wanted to just have a moment of what is last night's win for Zohran Mamdani in the mayoral primary election in New York City. What in the world does that have to do with the Middle East or Israel-Palestine? Mondoweiss published an article I'd call your attention to. It's called "It's Proven That Zionism is a Paper Tiger in Democratic Politics," breaking down Zohran Mamdani's stunning New York victory. Now, he's not won, he just won the primary. A CMEP donor sent this to me today, and they said, it caused me to look up more about this. I heard about Mamdani's win. I didn't even know what election it was for, really. I knew it was stunning. I wasn't sure why. And the CMEP Leadership Council member said, and I hope that this might be an encouragement to you too. They wrote me this note and they said, Mondoweiss' win in New York City shows that all of your work to change the narrative on Palestine has worked. Palestine will be free. Now we just have to stop the killing. And I responded and said, may Palestine be free and may we be free as well. And I desire that for Israelis as well and all in the Middle East, free and living at peace. So in case you don't know, this was a race for the New York mayor, long shot candidate Zohran Mamdani. He was trailing Andrew Cuomo. Last night, he sent shockwaves through the political establishment by handedly defeating Cuomo in the primary. Mamdani expressed support, listen to this, for Palestinian human rights in various public statements on social media. He condemned the occupation. He advocates for human rights and equality. He's been outright in his opposition to Israeli policies. He's criticized the Israeli government as being oppressive, aligning with broader calls for justice and an end to the occupation. He's even participated in solidarity events such as marches and protests, advocating for Palestinian rights and emphasizing the importance of international solidarity. Mondoweiss said that the stunning victory is generational, and it's generational in the same way that Israel is. There's a split on the issue, and there was a huge generational split in New York City over Cuomo versus Mamdani. So I wanted to call that to your attention. The mayoral election is November 4th. There is a new custos in the Holy Land. I'll talk more about that tomorrow. I didn't pull the notes from that article yet. And the World Council of Churches Central Committee had a meeting and issued a statement comparing the apartheid and occupation and talking about impunity in Palestine and Israel. I'll try to just pull out a couple notes from that. I wanted to close with a message from the president of the Nazareth Evangelical College and the pastor of the local Baptist church in Nazareth. He shared this just yesterday from the Holy Land. He said, "Dear friends, 10 difficult days have passed since the start of this devastating war. Our phones continue to blast their unpleasant alerts 3 or 4 times a day, warning us that missiles are headed for us. This constant alarm forces us to sprint to safe rooms or to rush to the nearest shelter multiple times a day. Imagine parents who have to wake their children from sleep deep in the middle of the night, carrying them to a safe place, if a place even exists. Frighteningly, 50% of the Arab population in the country lacks a safe room or access to a nearby shelter, an ugly reality shared by 30% of the overall population. Life has come to pause in every detail. Schools are closed, work has stopped, travel has been canceled. Leaving our homes has become risky and is only advised for dire necessities. The continuous roar of warplanes constantly overhead reminds us that war persists. The sounds of missile explosions plant panic and terror and fear in the hearts of many of us, leaving people in the state of profound frustration, fear, and exhaustion. The images of destruction resulting from war, whether here in Iran or intensifying the overall tension and anxiety, not to mention the financial challenges that many face and the uncertain future. On top of this, we receive harrowing scenes from Gaza, where innocent people are killed while desperately trying to find a crumb to feed their hunger. As if all this pain weren't enough, a terrible terrorist explosion in the church in Syria adds insult to injury, with 25 innocent people dead. O Lord, to whom shall we turn? We are tired of the news of destruction and death. We're tired of this feeling of helplessness and powerlessness. We're tired of the cries of the grieving and the suffering, the screams of the afflicted and the wounded, and the groans of the poor and the hungry and the oppressed. O Lord, to whom shall we turn but you to find mercy, justice, fairness, and peace? O Lord, we seek your face and your vast mercy upon our land and our region. O Lord, put an end to this suffering and come with your peace upon us. This was written by Reverend Azar Ajaj, again, the president of the Nazareth Evangelical College. May God go before us in the name of Christ. Amen.